My name's Joyce Dunbar and I wrote the Mouse and Mole books. They're celebrating the 30 years of Mouse and Mole. They've had a long, adventurous time in those 30 years. When I wrote them, I looked like this. And the editor was amazed. "Oh," she said, "I thought a little old lady with white hair had written these stories." Well, here she is, a little old lady with white hair, 30 years later. I didn't have any ideas at all. I went up to my room one morning and the hours passed and I'd written nothing. And then I thought, I can't go down until I've actually written something. I got to the bottom of the page and I had no plan. I had no idea of the characters. And I thought, I know, I'll ask my resident expert, my 11-year-old daughter, Polly. And I read her the voices, the piece, and I said, "Who are they, Polly?" And she said, "Well, one of them was a mouse." She was very keen on mice. And I thought, yes, the other's a mole. So the next thing to do was to find someone who could turn these words into pictures. And I had just the person, because I'd already done a book with James Mayhew called 5 Mice in the Moon. So we asked James, and he went home that day, and on the train he did some sketches, and they were just right.
I remember very clearly working on the very first book, which began like this. This is the original dummy book for the very first story. And in those days, I used to draw original pictures and stick them in with glue and stick the words all around the pictures. Illustrating Mouse and Mole was a really rare experience for me, because usually when I work on a book, it takes me a long time to find the character and I have to draw the characters many times to get them right. But with Mouse and Mole it wasn't the case. Joyce gave me the stories to read and I started sketching on a train home, and immediately the characters just appeared in my sketchbook like magic. They just flowed from the pen. I think because they're so well described in Joyce's stories, I could just see them in my mind's eye straight away.
We had an illustrator, we had the stories, then we had a publisher, and they were published. That's every author's dream and every illustrator's. And that Christmas they filled Waterstone's window. All the books were there. And then a film producer, decided she wanted to do an animation. And that is what happened. She made a film and she was looking for someone to play the parts. First of all, she found Stephen Fry. But Stephen Fry disappeared the day of recording. And then she got someone else. She got Alan Bennett. And the animation was made. But then, and it all looked absolutely wonderful and exciting. But then the stories hit a few bumps and nobody wanted any more. But they kept coming into my head. They just kept flowing. I didn't have any notes or plans or ideas, but the stories came. So I wrote them. I carried on writing them until I had written about 36 stories. And I just kept them all on a file. They weren't wanted by anybody, which made me very sad. But then I met up with James again a few years later, and he was living nearby, and he was working with a publisher called Graphic. And he said they're very good. They produce beautiful books. So of course, we asked Graphic if they were interested. And the director, Peter Gill, came up, and he had these beautiful dummy books of the Mouse and Mole. Beautiful paper, beautiful everything. And a while later, that they were published as books.
Mouse and Mole mean a great deal to me, because I think of all the characters that I've created in illustrations, they are the ones that are closest to me and my world. The house where I live is full of stuff, just like Mouse and Mole. I'm always losing my glasses, just like Mole. I think I am basically Mole. After many years of not being available, it was wonderful when Graphic brought the first 4 books back into print, but also to discover that Joyce had written loads of other stories which had never been published in the first place. And there's some absolute gems there. So how exciting for me to be able to return to these characters that I loved so much and to be able to revive them again. An absolute joy. I think Joyce and I will be eternally grateful to Graphic, not just for reviving the books, but also for producing such lovely quality books with really gorgeous paper. The production values are really high on these books and it makes such a difference. I don't think they've ever looked so good as they do now in the Graphic editions. And there are a few more books to come. I'm just about to start working on book 9, and when the series is complete there will be 12 Mouse and Mole books, and I think it's going to be such a wonderful and rich series. These stories are modern classics, and I think to have been gifted these stories by Joyce is one of the greatest things that's happened in my whole career, and I cherish every minute I spend drawing them.
So 30 years later, after lots of ups and downs, here is one very happy author. And I'm so thrilled that they are being celebrated all this far down the line.